Hello. How are we all doing today? So, I got a new mic, and I'll have to wait till somebody comes in to see if it's doing okay. Not a new mic setup. Hello, Paradoxical Cheesecake, aka Pin. How you doing? Good. That's great. Thanks for coming by. Hi, Spike. How are you doing? Pin's doing okay. I'm doing pretty good. Might have to clear my throat a couple times at the beginning here, but I've been playing a lot of Starbound, and that's been fun. Not getting a lot of other work done. Spike is blah. Oh. So, to take a small departure from the banners that I've been making, I want to make something to put my needles in. Got this just felt cutout star right now, and I'm going to leave some needles in that to put in my case of thread, but I also want something for the table here, so I can just grab them from that. So I'm thinking I'll make one of these. Hi, Toby. Checking that out. So, it's a little cactus. This is taken entirely from Casey Golden. Hi, Asat. Bye-bye, Asat. And, oh, Honey's rating. Hi. Thank you, Honey. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. That was for Honey. That makes much more sense. Hello and a Magicazam to y'all. To ya. I can read. Yep, this is Toby. Mei Kitsuhime. That'd be like a fox princess. Cute cat. He's a cutie. Let's see if I can get him to come back and look up at the camera. Banana, Toby. I know I got a bunch of stuff up here now. Banana? Banana! Well, he'll wander over, and then I'll see. Happy May noises. I have that banana too. Yep. It's turning green because of where he licks it. Toby, come on! Yeah. Banana. There's too much new stuff up here. Yeah, sit down. Okay, look up. Up, up. Oh, yeah, that's great. Good job. Oh, no, you're just off camera. No. One of my cats also doesn't care that much for catnip. I think she grew into liking it a little bit, but not very much. Toby's helping us settle into the stream today. But now, can I get you to look around? Look up? You might be on camera now. Maybe. Close. Yeah, here, sweetie. Lay all over my stuff. Yeah. Oh, okay. Kicky kick. You don't really like the tummy, huh? Yeah, he's gorgeous. Oh, better be careful with the candle in your tail, honey. Maybe I'll just blow it out for now. Sniff. Let's see, let's see, when did we got him? I think the end of September. He was probably around 6 weeks then. So he's not even a year old just yet. Oh, yep. I said careful about the candle a little too late. Its tail's a little singed, and oh boy, does it smell. Yeah. He's still getting into all of the things. Our other cat does too, but she's much more sneaky about it. Yeah, so, oh boy, burning hair. Oh. So, previously, I worked on these little banners. We've got some more lined up that I want to do, but to start, I want to make a little cactus to put my needles into. This is taken entirely from a Casey Golden video on YouTube. So this is not my design. And Toby is playing with the tassels. Okay, you're gonna lurk. That's cool. My cat is 14, oldie. Oh, old cats are so cool though. They mellow out so much usually, or typically, or often, or whatever, and they tend to be so much more cuddly. See, my first cat I lost at 18, and she mellowed out a ton. Of course, she had to deal with me and my sister when we were, you know, children. The next one we lost at 16 years old, from kidney failure, and then my baby Jack died at 14, and he had congestive heart failure for like the last 2 years. But she's a bit of a hard one because she is half blind. That can be not problematic. Just something extra to deal with, something extra to keep in mind and be aware of and stuff. Yeah. See. And then I did lose 2 baby boys to feline leukemia last year, which is why Toby is so young, because we got a little baby after that. But enough news about the kitties going. Old kitties are nice. But then, of course, you're like paranoid all the time about them. So yeah, so I'm gonna make one of these, and then I might felt a little cactus like this one, because I think my needles are going to. Well, no, this one's pretty soft too. I was thinking this one would be too soft, and then they might get pushed in, and I'd lose them. If they get pushed into this one, at least it's small enough that they would come out the other side. So we'll see. We'll see about making a felted cactus. I'm going to show off a couple of resin, 3D printed resin figurines. So yesterday I went over what my partner Spike, who's in the chat, had done previously. So he's gotten back into the groove of it, and he's been printing out stuff again. So recently he's printed out this hornet from Hollow Knight. Let's see. He made a little mistake about the bottom. Like, he wanted to print it directly on the build plate, but then also did a raft. So that's why the bottom is a little weird looking, but we can make that look nicer. Hi, Spike. I did not turn my thing to silent because I forgot. So yeah, here's Hornet. I can't do it too close to the camera because then I lose the light, but it looks really cool. Let's see, gotta find somewhere safe to put this. Somewhere where the kitty is less likely to bonk it. Okay. And then he also did a Hollow Knight, the main character figure. Same deal with the printing on the base plate and printing a raft at the same time. But here's the base for it. That one came in 4 pieces. Like, intentionally, not, Hi, Tokidoki Arts! Welcome! I'm doing felt stuff today, but I'm showing off resin prints first. Resin prints that my partner did. I don't have the skill for this yet. Thanks. Right, so here's the base for the Hollow Knight. It's a bunch of flowers and then little plant things sticking up. It's pretty cool. You got this has to be glued together, so we haven't done that just yet. This is the bottom part of the character with this little swishy cloak. Doing a really good job of showing this off and putting my hands in front of everything. So he's supposed to go in there like that. And then maybe the other way around. That fits a little better. And then his cool little skull beetle head. So just like that. And then you also have his nail, which will go on the back, but I can't hold this many pieces together without dropping them. But the nail's really cool. It's actually got the like ridges like it's a bone. This one came out really well. I'm excited to color it. Kofi, get out from behind the computers, please. Oh, Tokidoki, you might have missed my kitty cat in front of the screen. Gotta go clean up after cooking and such, so bye for now. Good luck with projects. Thank you, Asad. And thanks for joining in. Okay. Second to last one. So, if anybody can guess what this is, it's only got one, it's printed in 2 halves, and it only goes together one way. That might be it. So, it's a Katamari. From We Love Katamari, or any of the other Katamari ones, I guess. What are you doing? Okay. Apparently, Kobe really likes your keycap, your ducky keycap remover, Spike, so we're gonna have to find a better home for that. Okay, so yeah. So, Katamari, little one. And also, you might have seen his little leggies here. The prince! Such a little prince! Apparently his legs broke immediately, so Spike had to put those together. But yeah, we'll have a little prince to roll this Katamari. And it's so little and cute! It's one of the nice things about resin printing is that you can get so much higher detail, like his face is actually even on there. I can put it up to the camera, but it's probably going to be too dark then. And I don't know if the camera will focus that close anyways. Probably not. Oh well. It's there. His little face is there. What are you doing now, Kofi? Hi, you want to come up? Come on. Yes or no? I got a stream to do today. Come on. Alright, and then last but not least is Amaterasu. The little wingies are very delicate. A couple of those had already broken off. And the tail has such a small connector that I'm really worried about that one too. Hi, Toby. Hi. Brum, 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 brum. Mm-hmm. Alright, so yeah, Amaterasu. We actually named our other kitty Sakuya from one of the characters in this game. Pretty cool. I don't know if Spike has something printing now, and if he told me about it and I forgot already, or what. But maybe next, well no, almost certainly by next Tuesday I'll have something new to show. But I do not. My partner Spike does. I'd like to someday. I'd like to do I'd like to make the models, but so far Spike has only printed out models that have been free to print, and made some changes where necessary, where things were like too thin to print out correctly, in Blender, I believe. Right, but you did design one thing to hang up your headphones at work. And it would be cool if you would print out one. I haven't brought this up to you yet. It would be cool if you printed out a headphone clamp to this table for these headphones. And then I'd have some place to put them. Yeah, there's so many designs that I want to do that I have to learn Blender and start making some, because I want all of the things from all of the games and they just don't exist. You modeled it in Fusion 360, which you probably talked to me about, but I feel like I've never heard of, so who knows? Oh no, not there! You're in the most precarious spot. Come on. You know, I shouldn't have piled up stuff like this, but you also shouldn't be climbing on it. There. Okay. Back to reality. I'm gonna make one of these. That's what a big one looks like. So I just need to pick out the colors. I'm thinking about maybe doing a blue one, actually. Meow. Could make one out of this weird mottled green color. Or this bluish green one. Resin printing is cool for figurines, but dealing with the resin is kind of complicated since resin is toxic if you don't wear a mask. I should say tedious, not complicated. Yeah, Spike has spent a lot of time setting up a spot to make it so it's safe for all of us and for the cats. He has an entire, excuse me, the bonk my light, entire case with a vent that goes outside that can be open and closed. And that way the UV can cure and not be knocked over by the cats, and the cats can't get into it, and it's a lot safer all around. Let's see. Yeah, resin is very tedious. I've never heard of resin being used for figurines. It's a different process, I think. Like, he has an actual 3D printer. I've done resin pouring before. Let's see. Not pouring on canvas, but into molds. So it's resin, so it's the same kind of thing, but yeah, this is all I've done before. Which I may or may not decide to do on stream at some point, depending on how messy I think it will end up being. Like, if I can think of a project that's pretty small, maybe I'll do it, but I really like doing these colorful effects where you put in the alcohol ink and then you put in this specific kind of white paint, and it pushes the alcohol ink from the surface down into the resin, where it would normally just float on top because it's so much less dense. Spike. Any other resin I would print with has to be UV cured for the process to work. That's correct. The current resin I work with is very brittle, but pretty easy to work with. Okay, yeah, there's different kinds and stuff. I forgot about that. And I've only used UV resin for very small stuff, and it's, again, a different kind. This stuff has all been cure over time. This one's got little nonpareils, little candies in it. I have a buttload of these, but only a few of them within reach. I'm gonna peace out and get ready for work. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your stream. Alright, good luck with work, Honey Cough Drop. Thanks for stopping in, and thanks for the raid. Cute, they look fun to make. Yeah. Oh, I do have this one within reach. As long as I can get it off. Oh, here's one. I've made this as well. Okay, I can't get the bigger sun and moon down because they're clipped somewhere. I just can't access that, but I've also made little itty-bitty things like this that would be good for earrings and stuff. You can be really creative with resin. You just have to be careful with it as well. Let's see. Well, I just wanted to stop in and say hi. I have to get ready for my own stream, but it was nice talking. All right. Good luck with your stream. And if you're still going when I'm done at 3, I'll be sure to raid. Thanks for stopping in. Oh, huh. I think this one was cut directly from this exact piece. You know, I'm feeling this sky blue. Sky blue cactus today. Oh, okay, thank you. Alright. Okay, so this is the template. You cut 6 of these, or this one's the bigger one. If you want these, you can probably just Google felt cactus and find something you can print out. Or you can go to Casey Golden on YouTube, and she, I think, has linked a printout after her video. So, I said it already, but these are not original. I've taken these from somebody else. And they're just for my own purposes, so that's okay. That's the cactuses. All of these banners are my own, which I'm going to get rid of now because there's too much in the way. Casey Golden for the pattern. Alright, do I have that pencil over here? Are you all happy it's Friday? How many of you actually work the Monday to Friday work week? I did until this month. Let's see, got some stuff to do this weekend. We're gonna go help family with some outside labor, like chopping wood and I think cleaning up on the farm. Got a commission for a novel cover that I'm working on. And of course I'm probably going to want to play more Starbound. Been my latest obsession. Or six. The big old scissors out. Oh, there goes a Benji. Da, 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 da. I'm thinking about making a flower on the top. We'll have to see. See if I can whip something up. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Benji. Get back there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Mm-hmm. I talked so much about JRPGs yesterday that I'm kind of like, well, I could talk more about those, but maybe I should think of something else, huh? Oh, apparently I cut into this one. Oh well. We can fix that. It's 4. A little off. Oh, I meant to ask you, Spike, if you were working late today or not. There we go. You are not. Okay, cool. So we have our 6 pieces here. Next step is to sew on some needles. Now I have to pick out a color that I want to use. Okay. I thought it might be cool to do a complementary color, but apparently I don't really have orange. Eh. Oh, no, I do have one orange. It was just covered up. It's too dark, though. Since it's blue, I could use green needles. I could just do white. A little too snowy. Let's see. We could do purple, kind of like this one. Or a pink color. Yeah. A couple of darker purples too. Too much. Okay. Green or purple? I'm gonna do green. Do, 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 do. Okay, do I... Yes. So, for any of you who don't sew, this kind of thread is called floss. I'm not really sure why. But it comes as 6 strands put together. And depending on what you're working with, you'll want to split them. So in this case, I want the needles to be pretty thin, so I'm going to split this in half. You gotta do it carefully, because otherwise you'll knot it up. Or it'll spin like that again. Will also be easier to thread onto the needle this way. Here. Save that one for when I run out. I've got pretty bad eyesight, so I like picking the needles with large eyes when I can. I also have a handful of needle threaders that I need to grab and put by so they're handy. Well, I just happened to get a knot at the end of this one. Also, quick way to do a knot is wrap it around your finger a couple times, roll it off the finger, so you got a little loop here, and then just pull that loop down. You won't always get a pretty knot, but usually the knots are going to be hidden anyways. So. Alright. So since I have the color on this side, that's going to be the back. I'm just going to try to do these in sets of 1, 2, or 3. I'm not going to bother putting anything below the curve mark because that will sit inside a pot, like this one. If you want your lines to all be in the same direction, it can be helpful to line up your needle like that. Like that. And you're much more likely to get a parallel line that way, or straight up and down. Ooh, this is giving me like pond frog vibes. Maybe I can needle felt a little frog to sit on top. That would be cute. Cactus frog. I think maybe I'll do the edges in this color as well. Make it pop a little bit more. And that way they can look kind of like needles along the seam as well. We'll try it. So, not too many. And then doing a knot in the back with the felt is a little bit tricky because you don't want to go through all the way. So for tying a knot when you're done, the easy way to do this is to create a loop and put your needle through the loop and pull it tight. And I like to do that 2 or 3 times. I think once usually isn't enough, but 2 probably usually is. Super cute. The idea of the frog? Yeah. Here. And just trim that off. 1 done. 5 more to go. Make sure I'm doing it on the side without my pencil lines on it. Okay, let's try not to do it in the same spots as the last one. Oh, oops. Oh no. This is one of the reasons I want to do a different thing. So my clumsy self keeps getting caught up in this. Hi, you come back? Belby. What is on your face? Are you getting into some cobwebs? Some dusty parts of the house? Come on and say hi to the people again. Oh. Well, make yourself presentable before you come on camera, huh? Just a little bit of dust. Hi. Oh no. Oh, I didn't put my candle out fast enough. Now he smells. I wonder if I can trim that. Ooh. Oh, what a kitty. Messing up all my work. One of our previous kitties liked to have his hips paddled. This one not so much, so I'm not going on at it, but you know, you could just hammer away at it and he was super into it. Speaking of super cute, yeah. This will be my most popular stream yet. Meow. Purr. Purr. Mm-hmm. And this is why when I showed off all my felt stuff before, they were kind of torn up and had cat hair all over them. I'm trimming his hair while he's distracted. Just get off the little burnt ends. Hi. You can chew on this end, I guess. Let's avoid the pointy end. I do make toys for them out of felt sometimes and put cat mint in them because I have that growing outside. I'll dry that up and you could use a trim, hun. Ow! Ouch, look at those claws. There, play with that. I'll keep sewing this. Yeah, that was inevitable. You can chew on it a little bit, but not a lot, hun. Oh boy, do you need a trim? Good thing I'm not selling this, because, gross. Hi. You were so spoiled. Knocking over all my stuff. The little benchies are capsized. Some of this resin stuff a little further away. Hi. Yeah. Well, they don't all need to have a bunch of needles on them. Call this one here. And it's covered in cat hair. Go figure. You going somewhere? Alright, bye-bye. Uh-oh, where did my third benchy go? Cat hair, jeez. Oh, you came back, huh? You just get things settled and you had to come back and mess it all up again? Who needs topics to talk about when you got a cat invading your space all the time? Getting into trouble. Ah, yep. Spray bottle is way over there. Oh, you're not getting on top of that one. That's not stable enough for you. Nope. No. No, don't whine. Oh, you won't let me go onto this thing that's super unstable and I definitely won't fall off of it. No. Oh wait, I already tied a knot in this one. Moving on. I don't know what he's doing now, but he's probably getting into trouble. What? Meow ow. Oof. Toby. How many toys do you have? You have to play with that? Meow. Jeez. Okay, halfway done with the needles. Meow. Sometimes I think he just wants attention. And he's being naughty to make sure he gets it. waited forever for it to get warm so I could start taking him outside on a leash. We could explore the backyard and stuff, and he wants to do it now, but it's too hot out. So now I don't want to go outside. Today might be okay. I didn't look at the forecast or the temperature yet. It's nice and sunny out. Oh, Toby. Just saved the ukulele from falling off of that. Hi, honey. Yeah, I miss my candle. Gotten used to streaming with it, but yeah, I don't think Toby's gonna be leaving me alone anytime soon. So it's probably best not to relight that. Toby. They apparently do this at the beginning a lot. It's just a habit. Here and here as well. Oh, this one's loose. Right there, and there, there. Let's see. Dee, 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 dee. Almost there. Did bring something out so I'd have something to talk about. But now I've been moving stuff around because of Toby and now I don't know where it is. Alright, I managed to do it on the correct side for each of them. Woohoo! Even with all of those kitty cat distractions. Yeah, it's pretty good. Do, do, do. Do, do. Let me finish tying this, and then I will see about thing that I brought out here. I found it. So, if you've caught any of my other streams, you'll know that Animal Crossing is one of my big inspirations. So before we got New Horizons, I started a journal and didn't get very far on it, but I'm going to show that off a little bit so I have something to talk about. So both the cover and the back are designs I did in Posca from existing fan art that someone else has done. I didn't bother writing it down because I wasn't really expecting to show anybody this ever, but I colored this, I put it on here, but it's not my design. Same with this one. So, oh, let's hide my address. Not show that one off. So, I started the journal when we knew we were going to get it, but not everything had been released about it yet. We didn't know a whole lot. So I did the little loading icon that was available. Let's see, Animal Crossing's New Horizon for the Nintendo Switch. Nook Inc. invites you to create your personal island paradise on a deserted island brimming with possibility. Craft everything from tools to creature comforts as you create and customize your island community. Look forward to craft tools and DIY furniture. Decorate inside and out. Use poles and ladders to traverse quickly. Unlimited storage? ? Turns out no. But let's see. Customize terrain and water. Nook Inc. Deserted Island Getaway Package. And then here's another little doodle. All the stuff in here is a little crude because I'm not that great with Poscas, and this was a couple years ago. And I didn't have tiny Poscas for everything either. This stuff is all felt tips that are much smaller. So a lot of this I used washi tape, or I did it separately and then pasted it on. Let's see. Preparing for our adventure. We're scheduled to arrive at our destination on 20 March 2020. Following are ideas to make our outset go smoothly. It's hard to read. Firstly, who are we? Got my name, Kokiri. I'm quiet, nerdy, and love nature, and cats, and games, and books. It looks like it says hooks. I'm a Sagittarius. Spike, it's my partner. He's silly and nerdy and loves cats and games. And other things, probably. I don't know. It's not like we've been dating for a really long time. Our cats at the time, Sakuya, Mako, and Morgan. We still have Sakuya here. Mako's the one who liked to get his hips paddled. So, on to ideas. We had a town tune idea to do Yoshi's story. Spike is a big fan of Yoshi. I'm not a big fan, but it's kind of Spike's thing, you know. So town name ideas. I had Willow Cove, Willow Shores, Cedar Springs. It turns out that there's a 10 character limit for the name, so that none of those worked. And then I had flag ideas, you know, so you got a willow tree and the river and a waterfall and then a crystal cave behind it, or a willow overlooking the beach with a moon in the background, or cedar trees with a pond and a birch tree in there. And we wanted oranges, and by we, I mean I wanted oranges. Let's see. So dreamies that we had I had. I keep saying we, but this is all me. I may have asked Spike for some input, but it's mostly my stuff. So Bob was one of my first favorites, and so was Vesta. Stitches is always cool. I don't think I've ever had him in a town, so I was curious about that. Bones is very cute, of course, and Lily as well. Tabby I also had in one of my first towns. So a lot of people don't like her and think she's an ugly villager, but I love her a lot. Other people that I've had in towns that I've liked a lot, Walker Snake, Tangy, Belle. I don't think I've actually had Tangy. I like Tangy though. Amelia, Bluebear, Cherry, Peaches, Cyrano, Camafrog, Gazelle, Olivia, Sandy. Sandy was taken out of the game and put back in with the what are those called? The camper cards. Eunice, Pietro, Filbert, Goldie, and Lucky. Mostly I'm excited to meet new villagers. So, ideas for the town. I had a cozy woodland idea. With lots of trees and flowers. So I thought of having like a housing district, a shopping district, a heart pond. I don't know if this is supposed to be like a lighthouse or what. An orchard, and then my and Spike's homes here. Airport. Oh yeah, trees included. Well, I can't read this. Trees including orchard on east side. Flowers, windflowers, chrysanthemums, and hyacinths were all new. And then of course just the other ones that existed before. So you already said I wanted a heart pond, a picnic area, exteriors for the shops, and a town square with interchanging decorations for each season. This, I guess I could kind of do, but I wanted it to be like a closer knit thing, and the town square has such a big space now that it feels like putting stuff around it, you can't, like, it doesn't seem cohesive. It's too far apart. Let's see, home ideas. I like the idea of Spike and I living on like a cliff. So, garden cottage for me. Cozy light colors, wood, furniture. Excited to use these items that weren't necessarily around. The yarn basket, the potbelly stove, the mini crocoid. The gyroids were different in this game. Teas, those didn't really come back. Houseplants, honey jars were from Pocket Camp, and they didn't make an appearance again either. I did use clothesline and towel baskets. So I'm sewing the edges now of these. And for Spike, he always had like a secret laboratory in the basement, so I went ahead with that. Comfy, neat upstairs, lab downstairs. Classic stereos, jukebox, grandfather clock, electric guitars, cacti and bonsai, and a gumball machine. And then he'd have gyroid staff for the lab. Alright, so then I did some backtrack stuff. I started Animal Crossing on the GameCube, actually. My cousin Panda showed off the game, and I got it right away. I might have gotten it. Yeah, we were up at our grandma's place, and I think we went into town so I could buy it. Which was like a half-hour drive. So my first town on the GameCube, well, I named it Mars, and my character's name was Fina. I had apples. I had the triangle grass scenario going on. Did a lot of custom designs. I had Bob, of course, and then I made him a cherry orchard. So I still remember that. And stab myself in the finger if I'm not careful. Oh yeah, Bob, my bestie since day one. And a lot of people like Bob, so there's no surprises there. Let's see. Other characters I remember having a lot of interaction with and liking a lot. I played this game for years and years. So, Vesta, Camafrog, Snake, Sandy, Tabby, Cyrano, who I called Kyrano at the time, Amelia, Marcy, that's the kangaroo, Marcy, that had the, like, I don't know, there's a second Marcy that's spelled I-E now, that's a kangaroo, that's not the same one. Pee-wee, Belle, I think Belle was taken out of the game as well, she's a cow. Olivia, Leopold, Leopold's smug and I didn't really ever care for him. But he was there for a long time, he never moved out. Liz, Ozzy, Frigga. Frigga, still, I don't like Frigga. They used to be so much more mean in the GameCube one. So Frigga was a snooty character and I did not like her at all. She was just mean all the time. Some really crude representations of my inside house. I had mostly the kitty theme going on, Kiddie, and the main floor with the ragtime music, and the western upstairs with some of the Sahara carpets and the Wendell wallpapers. There used to be a walrus who you'd have to feed fish, I think, or fruit, and then he'd give you wallpapers. They put that into one character, Sahara, later. In my basement I had balloons and like all the Nintendo stuff that you'd get from codes and things. Right, going to the island was very fun. I had June, that's her name. June as my islander. Let's see, oh yeah. So I actually went to my town to look up this stuff. So I could do an accurate representation. So I found that I had saved 42 letters from people who had moved out. And I found this letter that I had saved. My dear Fina, more than sweet snacks and afternoon catnaps, I adore you. How can you not fall in love? Yeah, I miss the calendars. Not because I used them, but because they looked cool. It was a nice piece of decoration, I thought. Having the different kinds of pinwheels was cool. The ball to chase around. I did basically complete the game. I paid off the house. I got all the fossils. I think I got all the fossils. I got all the bugs and fish. I might not have gotten all the paintings because that was a lot more difficult back then. At least for me. Oh yeah, and I missed the entry and exit with your villagers. That was a really nice thing. It felt a lot more personalized that way. The layout of my town. And then, yeah, thanks for waiting. Go have a blast in Mars. So, I had a second town on the GameCube, which is where a bunch of these guys went to. And then I stopped visiting there. So, back in the GameCube days, Animal Crossing would take up an entire basic memory card slot. So I had one like 256, I think it was megs. Oh no, I don't want to do this. Too far. I'm going too far. Oh god, I'm making it worse. This is what I get for not paying attention. Yeah. So I had the one that I'd got with the GameCube, which was huge. I had my main town in there. And then I got a second card when I bought the game that I put my second town onto, and that filled up the entire memory card. Let's see. So I named that one Hyrule, my main character Link. Perhaps hinting at my non-binary-ness. Had a female character for the first one and a male character for the second one. Also just to get some variety, honestly. Okay. Try to detangle this. I also had apples as my main fruit in this one. I think I thought it was pears when trying to remember it, but it was not. It was apples. Circle ground color. Oh yeah, I ordered lots of the special items with codes, the Nintendo items and stuff. The NES consoles, so where you could play the mini games. Reminiscing about having to send the fossils away. Let's see, characters that I had in this one. Peaches. I love Peaches. I think she might have been taken out. Kind of a clown horse. Winnie, another horse. Belle, Vesta, Camafrog. Those three are all from the previous. Liz, I think also. Derwin, Gaston, Tabby, Teddy, Valise. I don't remember Valise. Queenie, Pearl, Freya, Rhoda, and Allie. Junkyard. And the layout for this town. Oh, and I had Epona's song as the town tune. How thematic. I had the Four Swords sprite as a lot of my stuff in this one. Okay, now I got to connect another one of these. Let's see. And then we move on to Spike's first town, because he first played Animal Crossing on the DS. So Wild World was his intro. How am I doing this? How do I sell again? Uh-oh. Alright, well, we'll fix that up. I'll fix it in post. A little bit deeper there. Okay, I think what I'm doing is called a blanket stitch. So it's supposed to show. So you have the right sides, meaning the sides that you want to see, facing outward. You have your needle, you go through both of them, and then before you pull through the stitch all the way through, you put your needle through the loop. Kind of like how I was saying I tie knots. So, and then you just pull it a little tight, not too tight, and then you do it again. So that creates a fun little border. Ow! Just stuck myself with the needle. Ah! Not bleeding. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so Spike's first town was in Wildwood. He also had the apples, the circle grass style. I never fully upgraded my house in Wild World, but Spike did, and that was really impressive. Get this. Let's see. He called it Dinland, and his name was Drake. The constellations were a new thing, so I think those were all constellations that he had up when we checked in. His villagers included... Oh, he had Stitches before. Pierce, Bella, which is the mouse, not the cow. Yuka, Genji... Oh, Genji's cool. Alfonso, Olivia, Goose, Patty, Gaston, Coco. Coco's cool too. Mail and Pom Pom. The introduction of Celeste and his town flag was this red chow. He had the feather in his hair. I always liked the feather from that game. The feathers in his town layout. So, my Wild World one. Hats and glasses were new. That's right. Oh, good times. Yeah. Cherries were my base. I had the triangles again for the grass type. That's something I miss. I think they had triangles, circles, squares, and stars you could have as a pattern. So my name was Geartrick, which has been my handle for a long time. Switched it out now. Yeah, so my house was big but not fully done. Oh, here's that spot that I had cut into. I'm just gonna do a little visible mending here. I'm pretty new on the visible mending subreddit. Oh, nope, not that way. Oh, I did this the wrong direction. Dang it. I'm gonna tie a knot if I'm not careful. See. Remember really liking the hammock, the mushroom furniture, the mush series. I had a cloud flooring and a sky room that I liked a lot. Let's see, I kept the dark star theme from this one, and I had a fun like green lightning thing. Oh, these weren't new. Were they? I thought they existed in the GameCube one, but maybe they didn't. I don't remember. Slingshots didn't exist in the GameCube one, so I don't know. Yes, they existed in the GameCube one, but they'd have to get into a tree. You'd follow them across the land and wait for it to fall into a tree, and sometimes they wouldn't. They'd just keep going. That's right. Or you could use slingshots in Wild World. And they had the recycling instead of the junkyard. I can't rethread this. Let's see, so villagers that I had here were Bones and Lily, which is why one of the reasons Lily is so big for me is that I had them in GameCube and in Wild World. I think I had them in GameCube. Now I have to check this one. Maybe not. I don't know. I really liked Lily. Kid Cat, Tabby, Punchy, Apollo, Coco. Oh, I had Coco also. Maple, Butch, Mint, Gabby, Carolyn, Chief, Jeremiah, Goose, also Goose, Ribbit, Drake, which is funny because Spike's name was Drake. And Margie. I don't remember who Margie is. Margie. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Margie. Oh, the elephant. Wow. I don't remember her name at all. Okay. I also had the Animal Crossing for the Wii City Folk. I don't think Spike did. No. Spike did not have this one. Which is just as well. It wasn't a very good one, unfortunately. Let's see. It did add socks and shoes, which was nice. I had the, like, I don't want to call them stoner eyes, but, like, I'm tired eyes. Which is true for me my entire life. So tired. Oh, I didn't look at when these came out. So, I didn't get this one right as it came out, but I would have been around 11, 12. Spike's a few years older than me. Oh, right, for this one. So 14, 15-ish. Right. 17, 18-ish. So having less time to play as well around that time. Let's see, my town's name was Zoni. Clever, I guess. They had the bus to go to the city, which was interesting, but City Folk was a letdown for a lot of reasons. They reduced the villagers by like 2/3, which is insane to me. Like, okay, so you had like 300 for the DS, but for the Wii, you had to cut it down? What the heck? You know, whatever. I had a pear as my fruit, square grass. Sick villagers were, I think, a new thing for that one. And they could get locked out, which was annoying. So you're like, fine, I gotta go fish for the next half hour. Ugh. I was a little more clever with my clothing designs for this one. I did Link, I had a Pepsi shirt, I was big into Pepsi. I'm drinking Pepsi right now. Not sponsored. Mario and a poncho. That's what they're called. I was definitely watching movies with my dad at this point, so this was probably inspired by the Man with No Name series. Or the No Name trilogy, if you will. You know what I didn't do for this? Is I didn't cut out a circle for the bottom. Or a hexagon. Let's see. Yeah, I was really close neighbors with Walker, so I really like him a lot. Other characters were Freya, Genji, Maple, Kurt, Midge, Winnie, Pearl, Tabby, Mary, Pippi, Opal, Rhonda, Elvis, and Amelia. Oh, Amelia again. Oh yeah, she wore the Mario one forever, and I thought it was really cute. And I guess I also had Angus, Grizzly, and Mott. Oh, my mom joined me on this one and lived on the beach. So for the 3DS, Spike and I shared a file, or a game. We didn't both individually buy. Come on. Excuse me. Let's see, I named it Volatown. I have no idea why anymore. It seems vaguely familiar, but oof. I think I was trying a different handle at the time. And obviously it didn't stick. on. Here we go. So it's starting to take shape. I'm purposefully going a little further in so I can have more of a ridge for these ones. Just gonna go ahead and weave through to the edge here because I'm not gonna see the bottom anyways. Four, 5, 6. Yeah. Yeah. So I was the mayor for this one, and Spike, who was named Drake again, was the not mayor. I don't know what to say. So this one had the introduction of Isabel, of course, and her twin brother, her younger brother, Digby. That's it. And the I had a sticker book. That's where these stickers have been coming in. Diving was introduced for this one. I liked how much you could customize the house and have a little fence around it. New Leaf was a huge step in the right direction after City Folk. Let's see. Favorite villagers included Pietro, Eunice, Cherry, Eric, Frida, Vesta, Antonio, Muffy, Pate, Mac, Marshall, and Tiffany. A lot of sheep in this one. Pietro, Eunice, Frida, Vesta, and Muffy were all sheep. Introduction of Cyrus and Reese, and the recycling, and the custom furniture, which was nice. Introduction of Leif, who is super cute, even though I don't find the character super useful in games. Designs, this one wasn't original, but these two were. This was the town flag. Oh, peaches were our town fruit. This is why I wanted oranges, because it's like the one fruit that I didn't have. Triangles for the ground. I don't know if this game had others or not. Or if it was just triangles for everybody. Spike's house was more brick. With hedges, I guess. Oh, Spike was a turnip master, that's right. He made all of his money off the stocks. I had to help him with selling it sometimes, so when he was at work. And when I was at work too, but I had more flexibility and I didn't get caught. So, don't tell anybody. Phineas and the badges were new. I liked that quite a bit. Captain's family was new, the island. And island tours with Tortimer were fun. Nice to see him play a bigger part again. Let's see, the Happy Home Academy now had Lottie and I think Lyle, her uncle or whatever, existed since at least City Folk. And he sold insurance, but I don't really remember what that had to do with anything. So, oh, I didn't point out Gracie Grace or the lamp. I don't know. The city was fun and interesting, but just too limited. And this one had the city across the railroad tracks. So, Spike and my homes were up in the corner. A lot of people encroaching upon us. Brewsters. Kofi. I liked the tree in the town square. And, being separate, I guess, from the town hall. And then they did the camper thing a little later. Oh yeah, bushes were new in this game, I think. I also got Happy Home Designer. Let's see. I wouldn't have made the money without your help. Yeah. But you did do the calculations and the tracking and everything. I just was not interested in that at all. Still not. So yeah, I had a good time with Happy Home Designer for the 3DS. Kokiri. So we saw a lot more of Lottie and Digby. It was fun. If you've played the Happy Home Designer DLC, I think it is, on the Switch, it's a lot like that. But some of the items that were here did not come back, and I like those a lot. Oh, also when this game came out, New Leaf had an update where you could customize or move furniture around in your house from a bird's eye view instead of having to scoot everything around like every single game prior. Oh, that was nice. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I brought up the camper expansion to New Leaf, but it was a little fun, and it was nice to see some of the villagers that they had taken out a long time ago. I got some cards, some amiibo cards, but two of my friends and I kind of pooled them together. So we have a bunch all together, and that's nice. I appreciate it. Once you could ask them to come to your town in New Horizons, I went out and bought a few. No, I think I got lucky and bought some individual ones before the game was released and before that announcement was made. So I got some at better prices than I would have. I think just because I was really feeling it at the time, I wanted the cards. So, I played a lot of Pocket Camp. I've since abandoned it. Ferviously? Whatever. I can't handle the microtransactions, and I can't handle that it like wants you to be on constantly every 3 hours checking on the thing. I can't. I'm done, you know. We're over. We're done with this. It was it was there in my time of need in between Happy Home Designer and New Horizons, which was 5-year gap. So, yeah. In comparison to, I mean, that one was 3, so it isn't even a full game. So it was an 8-year gap between a full game. And previously it had been 4 and 3 and 4. So 4 years between the first one that was released in America and the second one. 3 in between the second and the third. 4 in between the third and the fourth. And then 8 in between that full one, this full one. So, Pocket Camp helped me get through that, and now I am done with it. I liked a lot of the furniture in it. I liked the idea of a lot of it. It stressed me out, though. Right. So, arrival day. We pre-ordered it. We got it on the day of. Picked it up, and we're careful because COVID had just started over here. Just become officially a thing. And found out about that 10 character limit. And my town was named Bumbaloon instead. Bumble. I restarted the game of 23 times in order to get oranges. Right. So our starters were Frida and Sprocket. Come on. Okay. We had a yellow airport. I was the ambassador because I'm the one who gets the most obsessive with these games. And so for the first full day, we were just stuck in the bottom right. Like, we couldn't cross over the water. And I understand wanting to pace your audience, but like Spike and I had taken the day off in order to play it, and we ran out of things to do, and the music didn't change the first day. It was the same music for the entire day, and I was really worried that it was just going to be the same music forever. Let's see, it's supposed to have been mine, Spike's homes, and Frida and Sprocket's homes. I don't remember. We started with a heart pond. Oh, my terrible drawings over here. Not that these ones were really good. Yes, so limited clothing to start with. So made a joke here at the height of fashion. Spike walked around without shoes, and he's always been a big fisher in games, so wet sock fishing. Because if you're fishing on the beach in your socks, they're absolutely going to get wet. Let's see, I caught a boot, Spike caught a boot, and we were able to make boots for Spike. Let's see, the recipes were fun. I designed a calico sweater. I'm still proud of that one. It's simple, but really cute. Yeah, stuff was piling up as we were waiting for the museum to come. Some of my new favorite items early on. Day 2. Let's see. So Timmy and Tommy talk about the shop proper. We give the go-ahead. Oh, that's right. I put the weather. Sunny, rainy, and sunny. Got mums and pansies from islands we were able to travel to then. That must have been... Calvin's Islands? No, it must have been... Oh wow, why is this so hard for me? Using the airplane. Set down garbage for flies, no flies. Apparently, I've been catching this on the Animal Crossing, the New Horizons subreddit, that flies are hard to catch in the game. I don't remember whether we have gotten them or not. Never finished the... Well, no, I feel like I finished one of them. I don't know. I think I might be waiting on a couple bugs and a couple of fish. And just, you know, I've given up since. I definitely don't have all of the diving creatures, but most of them. Let's see, we got coconuts and planted them from islands. Got the vaulting poles and shovels. Let's see, and Gulliver was there for the first day. Apparently I had a house sketched in, but not colored in. And Blathard showed up, so we got to donate stuff to him. New DIYs we found were the cutting board, the kalimba, and the tire bench thing. We met Clay, who we invited, and Marina, who we invited, but I also met Celia and Mary. These two are still in my town. I really like Clay a lot. Oh, I think hamsters were introduced in New Leaf. Whatever. We opened the island to Sake and Sassy. That's Habibul. Sassy is one day ahead and brought ladders and ladder recipes for Sake, Spike, and me. Also fruit. We have all but apples for main fruit now. So nice. We gave Sassy an ocarina toot toot party. We also visited Sake at their town, Rhymecrest, and gave them a shell table. We were using she, her pronouns at the time. She gave me a grass skirt. Spike made designs for Wind Waker and Breath of the Wild, and he made a robot thing for his face. I got new hair. I think I put in the design from way back when. This one. And we caught a lot of bugs. Then I had a thing to keep track of the fish and other things. The date it was caught, the location you caught it, and who donated it to the museum. So you can see where I, in August, stopped caring as much, stopped getting out the thing from. Okay, yeah, so I'm still missing a couple of the fish. Bugs, same deal. And around July is apparently where I started giving up here. And I'm missing some of the bugs too. Fossils, we got all the fossils pretty early. I didn't write them all down, but by the end of June we had them all. I stopped tracking them apparently. So, and then it starts becoming very sketchy and less, you know, I basically stopped. I started playing more and stopped being interested in the journal. So just stuff that's happening. Met Wisp, got bamboo shoots, Sahara, first bridge built, and then it just gets to be more scribbly and scribbly from then on. Day 11. I wrote down the patterns for getting the colors, I think. Something like that. Like I must have looked that up. And then wrote down how it works here. What is that called? It's been so many years. Is it just a Mendel square? Mendelian? Yeah, so it goes on. Just scribbles and scribbles. The Tokeke music. I might have them all now, but when I was tracking them I was missing a couple. Or... yes. Okay, one check mark is for this side, one check mark is for that side. I don't know what the blue versus the pink check marks mean though. Maybe me versus Spike? A little bit better sketches here. Oh, Photopia stuff. Oh, right. Sprocket was calling me pudding, so I did a little sketch of me as a pudding cup. Really too hard to see these anyways. So... then my notes stopped being on the pages themselves. Sea creatures were added. I apparently didn't leave room for all of them. Mermaid items. And then August I just gave up completely. So I played it for a long time. Oof, time to get working on this some more. The journal was a really good idea. It's cool to be reminded about everything we did. Yeah, I want to, I always want to fill it in better, but I don't really have the interest in it ever. Maybe I'll do it on stream sometime. Yeah, it started as a way to be engaged and excited for New Horizons to come out. One, two, three, four, five. Almost. Now my throat's sore from talking straight. Vocal warm-ups are for losers. That's not true. I'm the loser. Gonna try to tie a knot here. Ugh. That's what it looks like from the inside. Oh no, I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. Oh yeah. Since then we have gotten the Happy Home DLC, and I did a lot of those. I was in the daily habit of checking for... Oh yeah, the food thing came later too. For cooking recipes, and for crafting recipes, and for drinks at the shop, and what was all available at the Photopia Island, which that stuff came later. A lot of good updates. None of which are tracked because I stopped keeping track of them. Oh, chilly. Why am I chilly today? Normally I'm warm. Sniffle. Sorry about that. There we go. I found my third Benchy. He ended up in the pine cones. There we go. Skipping this song. I don't need to give a reason. I'm skipping it. Here we go. Oh, we gotta help with family yard work and stuff tomorrow, but we'll be fed. That will be nice. Then make sure that's pulled taut. We shall see. Hi, Jump. Sometimes you gotta have a hobby where you get to stab something 1,000 times. Just you wait until I pull out the felting stuff. Hi, Kuya. What's up? Check this bad boy out. Now this will make you bleed. But that'll come out in a little bit. Oh, time to sneeze again. Oh, goodness. Sorry. I'm a very loud sneezer. Da, 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 da. Kuya, come up here. Come on. The people would love to see you. Come on. Oh, hi, Toby. Something's going on over here. You gotta check it out. Thanks for joining again, Jump. I really appreciate it. Come on. It's nowhere near dinner time, so... Oh! The heck? I started here instead of here. What a weirdo. Why did I do that? You can tell I'm cold because I'm sniffling. Hey, why don't one of you come up and sit on my lap and warm me up? That would be nice. Yeah? Yeah, Kuya? She talks a lot, but it's always very quiet. So I'm sure the mic isn't picking it up at all. There. Kuya, what you doing? Now she's staring at me. It's a little unnerving. Hey, hon, what you doing? Oh, yesterday morning, Toby was sleeping on my chest, as per usual, which he doesn't do at night at all, which is when I want him to do it the most. And then he kind of slid off, so his head was further away, but his butt was still on top of me. But his head ended up near where Kuya likes to lay, which is on Spike's spot after Spike leaves. And she started grooming him, which was really, really nice to see. I wasn't really expecting them to become close based on the behavior that they've had for the last 3/4 of a year, I guess, but he's still pretty young. And things can change, so here's hoping. I only know how to do this in the one direction, so I gotta flip this over now. Ugh, come on. Oh my goodness. Unrelated, but related to something I was saying earlier, is I'd really love to be able to take Toby on walks. It's not typical for cats to be into it, but we're gonna see. Kuya doesn't even want to go outside at all, so it's not gonna happen for her. Come on, come on. There we go. I think I'm actually going to tie this off. Then I'll stuff it, then cut the thing, and then use the other thread to sew on the bottom. Alright, so that's what it looks like until I fill it with polyfill. Which I happen to have some right here. This was shoved into something else that I took apart, so I'm gonna fluff it up a little bit before putting it in. It's nice to see so many people watching, but no one's followed me on stream for a little while, so nobody gets to see the cute little clip I have for that. Hint, hint. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So yeah, they kind of look like spines along the edges. Looks like the thing I did for the top worked pretty well. I mean, you can never tell what I do up here because there's just so much stuff mixing up, but I've had some weird whatever's going on at the top, and it doesn't feel like it's working very well before. I want this to be pretty dense, because I don't want the needles to go in too easily. Okay, that's probably almost too much. I don't know if I could make the thing stick up or not, or if it'll just flatten down on their own. Okay. That is not the right color. Not that it really matters. So I'm not going to make this a perfect hexagon to match. I'm just going to round it off. That'll be fine. Zig little groove. Dowel 2 of the threads, but not the third one. Wait, Toby! Ah! Next Friday, I'm going to get the threader, and it will be in here and within reach. There. No! I pulled it out. That's what he said. Cat hair. So again, I'm not hiding the stitching, but I am hiding the knot. Oh, I went the wrong direction. This will probably be fine, it's just weird. I'm glad you liked my joke, Spike. I'm doing this out of frame entirely. Sorry. I've got bad eyes. It's hard not to do stuff right in front of my face. I don't know. I'm not a very good joke teller. So when the easy ones come by, I gotta take them. I'm curious about the bottom of these ones. Yeah, this one I would make a hexagon because it's huge. This one's probably just a circle. No. Oh, I didn't do the blanket stitch on this one at all. Interesting. I did do it on the big one, though. Huh. That would explain why they're not very pronounced ridges. Oh no. Kitties are play fighting. Ta-da! Just grab another one of these. Pop it in there. Oh, because I took off so much around the edges to make these really pronounced, it looks noticeably smaller than this one. It doesn't fit in the pot quite so cleanly. Interesting. Maybe in the future I'll be more like I'll make it smaller around these parts so it fills out the pot better. Oh. Boop. Crack the back. Oh, that feels good. Alright. Now onto the part that I'm not very good at. I'm gonna make a little frog to sit on top of this guy. With this method. Felting. Wool felting? I think that's what it's called. Needle felting, wool felting. I need a better home for my ukulele. Tools I'll need for the job. More likely I'll need these little ones. Okay. Got these finger protectors, but I'm gonna try some gloves first. See how that goes. And it's really bright. I don't know if I want it to be that bright or not. That's still really bright. Froggy? Too dark? Just dark enough? Oh, I forgot I had this one. Totally using this instead. Crappy foam. Very light. Too light. Dark green? No. Muddy green? Nah. Okay. Ta-da. I'm gonna go with this one. A little chill. Thing looks violent. Yeah. This is what I thought of when you said you gotta stab stuff 1,000 times. You will draw blood. Which is why I brought protection. I don't know where I set it down. Story of my life. Oh, here it is. This is to avoid getting cut. Don't know if it will do anything with a needle or not. Let's just see. Not really. Like, I'm gonna do it anyways and see how it goes. It's better this than nothing. And the leather ones, which are actually protection, are kind of obnoxious to use. We'll give it a shot. Of course, now all my dexterity is gone. Okay. Stab, 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 stab. Stab, 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 stab. That's how those work. You flip the needle inside out and you put it's not actually a cork, it's a wooden piece back in. But with the little ones, it takes a lot longer, but you got more control. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of trying to form this to be the head, the body, and then the side legs, the big old back legs. That's what I'm going for here. I don't know if this is supposed to be curved or not. Step, step, step. God, my aim is not very good. Don't do this with your non-dominant hand, folks. I haven't done this very much, so I don't know all the techniques or anything. Stab. Blabbed on forever about Animal Crossing, and now my mind's blank. So it goes. See, Animal Crossing had a huge influence on me. Spyro. I love Spyro. Unfortunately, I'm only really a fan of the first three. Ow. Yep, that didn't stop that at all. Alright, I'm gonna get the leather pieces out and see what happens there. Got a little dot. Not opening because that's not how you open it. Look like nasty jerky. I'm sorry, Cal, but I thank you for your skin. Eh. How am I supposed to work like this? Can't even get it on. That's what he said. 2 that's what he said jokes. Very little dialogue in between. Wow. I do this and then I put my fleshy fingers that aren't the ones covered in place so I can hold it instead. Good job, me. Yeah. Bad influence, yeah. Not just you. Most people, it seems like. All of the influencers that I watch. All of the influencers that I don't watch. That I'm just experiencing day to day. The lump is going to take a while to actually look like anything, I think. I'm hungry. Wah, wah, wah. Only got a half an hour left to finish this frog. Then what am I gonna do with my life? Even if you've never seen needle felting before, the needles actually have little teeny tiny barbs on them that will catch the wool as it goes down. That's how it works. You're not just, you know, it wouldn't work to take a toothpick and do it. At least I don't think so. Starbound? Probably. I don't know. I feel like I should go outside, but maybe it's too hot. TLDR for every— no, wait, that's not how it works. Not the TL— not too long didn't read. The— apologies if this is more than you wanted to know. TMI? That must be it. TMI, everybody, but I'm a person who sweats a lot. So when it's hot out, I get very uncomfortable very quickly. And you think, oh, it's a good thing you live in a cold place then, most of the year. But no, then it just gets hot because of all the layers I have to wear. Wah. Wah, wah, wah. Privileged first world problems. Oh, I have my AC and just stay inside all day in case it get too hot. Take a shower whenever I want. You too, Jump, huh? It's funny, my grandma is one of the people— I think of this every time I bring this up. My grandma is a person who doesn't sweat almost at all. So if she's getting overheated, she has to like take a cold shower. Otherwise she will basically have a heat stroke. So that sucks. Probably better to be a gross, sweaty person than to get heat stroke. Stab, 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 stab. On the one hand, I want to be able to go out and not have to worry about smelling all the time. But on the other hand, I don't like smelling bad smells either, so... Wah wah. This entire hour is just going to be me making the frog's legs defined from its body, and that's going to be it. Oh, Jump, were you here for the most recent resin prints? I can show them off again if you weren't. There were new ones this video. Or if anybody else wants to see them, you can just say yes and go back to lurking. Totally okay. This side has less felt than this side. Just like cutting vegetables. Tuck those fingers in. Trying to kind of make a V shape for the back and then have a flat bit on top that's angled upward a bit like that. Wow, this is still stream beats. Sounds like a 90s. I don't know, maybe not. Like sad part in a movie, but not too sad, like a rom-com or something. follow somebody on Instagram who makes hyper-realistic cat portraits. Like, you know, they're like that thick or whatever out of these. And they make like 2 a year because they're so intensive and they're done so well. I get far too distracted in different kinds of things to be very good at anything. Which is why I have 3 different types of streams every week. Kitty, come in here, but I don't see a kitty. Come in here. Yeah, need some more. I can probably felt him right into the thing though, and then he'll just stay there. I kind of feel like it should have a lily pad on top though. Is that weird? Oh, I know what I should talk about on a stream when I have more than 20 minutes left. I should talk about what my previous job was, what I did there, and what the heck that means, like what the heck it was. Because most people have never heard of a herbarium before. I have many stress dreams where I can't escape a place, or I'm wandering around forever trying to get, like, out of the building. So I had that last night, coupled with the dream where people are letting my cats out, and I can't get them back. Like, I'm trying so hard to get them back. Oh, man, it was a nightmare, I guess. Not the kind of nightmare where you're scared for your life, but the kind of nightmare where you're so panicked and irritated and worried about your loved ones. I'd find them and get them back in a kennel together, and then somebody else would, like, just randomly let them out. What are you doing? What the hell is wrong with you? Oh my god. So, that was fun. I don't know if any of you have those kind of people are sabotaging my ability to have a kitty cat, take care of it, kinds of dreams. Maybe it's because Spike locked them out last night. Not that they ever sleep with us anyways. They just come in the morning and wake Spike up. a lot. I don't know why this makes me think of the song. The carnival song. Smorgasbord, orgasborg, orgasborg. Da 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 da. All around. See if anybody gets that one. Spike probably will, but I doubt anybody else would. You want results fast? Don't felt wool. I need a needle with like just 2, so you can do it all in a line. It was Jump's favorite movie when he was a wee lad. Oh, Piggy? Which one I missed it? Smorgasbord, orgasborg, orgasbord. That one. Apparently Spike would always ask for Batman, and Jump would always ask for Piggy. So I've heard. I, on the other hand, had taste and watched Happily Ever After, which is the Snow White and the Seven Dwarf Elves movie. It's a really bad movie. I watched a lot of kids' movies as a kid, though. I rewatched everything all the time. Princess and the Goblin. It's another more obscure one. Into the Forest, I think, is an obscure one. But I watched like all the Disney ones and stuff too. Big Yikes, LOL. Wait, what's Big Yikes? Oh, the Happily Ever After. Yeah, it's pretty bad. My dad bought it for me on DVD years ago. Kind of as a joke. We certainly didn't watch it together. I kind of want to make people watch it, be like, ha ha ha, see, this is what I liked when I was a child. But, I mean, it's got some star power. I can't remember their names right now. But it's a pretty bad movie, though. I would also rent... I rented that one when I was a kid, and I rented Little Nemo all the time. And Kiki's Delivery Service. So, 2 out of 3 really good ones. Ain't bad. And that's why Kiki's Delivery Service is the only Ghibli film that I will watch dubbed. Because I watched that one as a kid. I just like subs better, personally. Although Ghibli movies are generally regarded as having really good subs. Dubs, I'm sorry. How will anybody know what I'm talking about if I'm fumbling over my words all the time? It's just a lump. A lump with 2 little side lumps. That's all this frog is. Ain't nobody gonna know what this is if they can come in and see it. D&D group got a nostalgia trip last week and watched Little Nemo. Nice, yeah. Pajama pajama. I think it is very frog-like. Well, you know what it's supposed to be. And thank you. You know, I could introduce some darker color to make the definition more apparent rather than just me stabbing it in for 17 days. Oh, I am scared of jammies. Stretch. Oh. No, it's pajamas do scare me. I think that's what it actually is. She's trying to concentrate. Dead man's toes! You know I'm tired when I'm just evolving into movie quotes. Dead men's toes and dead men's toes. Dead men's toes. Spits into the cauldron. I gotta see if Tokidoki is still streaming, so I'll have to rate them in 10 minutes. Hold on to your butts, guys. Also, Nerdy Crafters streaming Stardew Valley. But they're a big name, they don't need any help. Okay, now I think that just looks weird and bad. Okay. Do 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 do. Oh man, I'm really happy to have a commission, but it's not like super in my wheelhouse, so I'm kind of less excited to work on it. Thank you. Oh, I see. Not you. And I must go to work. Have fun ending your stream. Nah. So good luck to Jump. Yes, good luck, Jump. I hope your work day isn't too stressful or anything. Or too boring. Thanks for joining. Well, this whole froggy section might not be very exciting, but maybe it's relaxing. Oh no, my job is very boring. I did a whole 2 things yesterday. Well, do you at least get to listen to music? Or podcasts or something at work? Something to keep you sane? I get to sit in the air-conditioned break room and do whatever I want, so I found out how to stream link to my tablet and I ran out of things to watch. Wow. Yeah, I suppose when you don't have much to do, you run through your stuff pretty quickly. I'm over caught up on my podcasts and not caught up on YouTube because I've been streaming and cutting into my YouTube hours, my watching YouTube hours, but that's okay. The nice thing is there's always something new to watch or listen to. You just gotta figure out what that is. Alright. So, I'm gonna finish this little frog guy off stream. And I think I might put a lily pad underneath him. But this is what we accomplished today. A little difficult to see. But yeah, something for me to put my needles in and pins while I'm at the table here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the raid set up. Thank you everybody so much for joining.